Bam bam, what's going on? This is Chris Mizo here. I'm going to show you how to remove ASUS Armoury Crate on Windows 11. This will be a full on issue and full removal guide. If you're here, you're probably fed up with the ASUS Armoury Crate on your Windows 11 PC. It's 2025 and Armoury Crate, the all-in-one ASUS tool for RGB lighting, fan control, updates, etc., is still causing major headaches for many users. In fact, in enthusiast circles, it's earned a reputation as bloatware due to how invasive and how buggy it could really be. But today, we're going to break it down why so many people want to get rid of Armoury Crate out of their system, then walk through how to remove it completely, including scrubbing over even the leftover services, files, registry, entries. Finally, we'll cover the alternatives for functionality it provided like fan controls, RGB lighting, and tips from it coming back. This will be a casual yet through guide. Think of it like we're doing a teardown of Armoury Crate's nonsense together, step by step. Here's Armoury Crate. I'm sure you're more than familiar with it. As you already see, it seems like it wants to reinstall into the system. It might not fully detect all your hardware. Some of your hardware could actually be missing, and that's what's really painful about ASUS Armoury Crate at times. Maybe that your frequency, your temps, maybe nothing is really reading off of the motherboard. You may ask, why remove ASUS Armoury Crate? Before we uninstall it, let's quickly cover what's wrong with Armoury Crate and why so many tech-savvy gamers can't really stand it. It hogs a CPU and resources. Armoury Crate is notorious for eating up CPU cycles and memory while it should be idle. Check out the system right here while it's idling. But at the same time, it is taking up a certain task. We could open up Task Manager here, and I can share with you that you can see the memory has actually been taken up quite a bit. Of course, Firefox's 22 tabs isn't currently helping, and I do have Present Monitor on, which isn't also helping. IQ won't help Armoury Crate. See, all these tasks really add up, and it's already about 40% of my memory and a decent chunk of my CPU, which is at 10%. We want to keep it hogging from CPU and resources. Users report it as a massive resource hog. This could be noticeably slow down your PC as it runs an insane number of background processes and service. One user actually counted even up to 12 to 13 services. If you go back here to actually see the usages, let's take a look onto the background. I'll show you exactly what they mean. Is if you go back onto Armoury Crate, you can see all the different services that are currently on. Armoury Crate download tool, Armoury Crate service, ASUS or sync lighting service, ASUS certified service, ASUS comm service, etc. Some of it's not completely running, but you get the drift, and you can see all the different services that ASUS really does take up in your system. Hence is another issue, which is IQ, which is another thing I would love to talk to you guys about in another video when I do have an update video on it. Just to control a light strip, all these processes to grind away in the background, sometimes pushing the CPU usage high even when you're not even really doing anything heavy. You're not doing anything CPU intensive, such as doing any high renders, or if you're not doing any type of graphic design, there's no need for your CPU to be pushing hard. Nobody wants their gaming rig's performance impacted by bloated software. Armoury Crate has a long history of being buggy. People often experience constant update prompts, slow load times, or even error loops in the app, such as some people may complain that if I hit the device that they may be stuck on that loading screen and maybe your devices won't even appear. For example, one user complained that every time that they launched it, it wanted yet another update, and often it would just error out and loop into a reboot. So even if you go to your settings and you go to your update center, it could bug you that it's asking you for more updates even though you've updated it multiple times. And that could be an issue with Armoury Crate. Hopefully that's something that gets ironed out in the near future, because I do know ASUS sincerely cares about Armoury Crate and wants to make it a bit better. They do have other options such as ASUS Armoury Crate Lite, but it is not uncommon to see reports on installing Armoury Crate magically fixes these random crashes and freezes that were actually plaguing the system. As one forum poster put it, it's just a poor program in general, so many bugs is a guarantee. Often creates more problems than it solves. Armoury Crate is meant to do everything: RGB control, fan tuning, driver updates, gamer profiles, but trying to be a jack of all trades, it ends up being the overcomplicated basic task. The interference can be sluggish and convoluted. All you wanted to say is just tweak some fan curves, maybe even change the RGBs on your keyboard. One frustrated user said, "I just want to manage the lights and fan speed. Why is this so overcomplicated?" Because all you want to do is go into here, and here we go. We have a prerequisite update, so we got to make sure to update. And that could be, well, a nice royal pain in the ass, as we all like to say. The software can often feel slow and non-responsive. Sometimes it may not even register clicks or taken ages to apply a setting. Many would prefer a lightweight tool for each job rather than one giant app, and failing to do so to do it all. Armoury Crate's numerous background services has also even raised eyebrows about what data might be collecting or phoning home. When 12 services are running, doing God knows what, it feels spy-like. One Redditor flat out accused spying on me and slammed ASUS for collecting information via private PCs without clear consent. While ASUS says it's nothing but for system monitoring and updates, a lack of transparency and sheer amount of processes makes any user uncomfortable from privacy standpoint. At the very least, it's a bunch of needless background activity if all you care about is RGBs and fans. Perhaps the biggest gripe that you have often with Armoury Crate, especially when you do build a brand new PC, it can sneak onto your system, especially when you just hit next and you know nothing better, especially if it's your first build. If you build your PC with a newer board, you probably got a surprise the first time you boot at Windows and a prompt to install Armoury Crate. Courtesy of the motherboard's UEFI BIOS, ASUS actually embeds Armoury Crate installer at the firmware level. That way it will keep nagging you each time you do a fresh Windows install. Until you say yes or you disable it, it's enabled by default on many ROG Prime tough boards. This behavior has been called out as misuse of Windows features originally meant for anti-theft software, now repurposed by ASUS to push Armoury Crates. Having something auto-drop into your System32 folder without explicit consent feels like borderline malware-esque. In fact, an Armoury Crate installer executable often appears at the window directory as part of the process. The community's verdict is invasive. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to shut that off. Naturally, I have to do a reboot, which we will do in a moment. Because Armoury Crate tries to control so many aspects, it often clashes with other tools running different RGB programs like SignalRGB or Corsair IQ. Armoury Crate services, example the lighting service for Aura Sync, which is again in your task manager up here. This is what really controls your RGBs. When you go into your task here, you go to your lighting services. That is what controls your motherboard's lighting and everything else that is connected via your ASUS motherboard's ARGB headers. Many times if you are using a third-party software, you would have to disable them. Using third-party fan controllers or any overclocking utilities, Armoury Crate might override them or fight you with those settings. Even Windows 11 itself had issues. For instance, there was a known bug where Windows settings app would crash. If Armoury Crate's ASUS framework was installed, removing Armoury Crate and its framework fixed it. Armoury Crate can be the culprit behind some sort of mysterious problems, from high WMI provider host CPU usage to game stutters that are resolved once it is gone. But here are the annoyances and miscellaneous gripes. Users have a laundry list of other annoyances, as frequent pop-up ads for ASUS content, occasional gimmicks like the surprise holiday themes. Remember the weird Christmas garland takeover that freaked people out? And now they need to create an ASUS account to obtain those features. The uninstaller, where you can find it, isn't really in the add and remove program like normal software. So even when you do try to remove the software and go into Windows here and go to installed apps, you might be able to remove it, but it's not going to completely remove it out of your system unless you actually obtain a certain tool, which I will show you. Here's the bottom line. ASUS Armoury Crate often does more harm than good. It's often bloated, often buggy, resource heavy, and borderline invasive software. No wonder why many PC enthusiasts don't really prefer it for best for optimization and just gets rid of the entire piece of software. If you're nodding along to a lot of the issues that I mentioned, or you're just realizing some of these issues after your PC build, let's move on to the fun part: nuking Armoury Crate from your system and reclaiming control. Let's start with the how to uninstall Armoury Crate completely step by step. Alright, time to purge Armoury Crate. We're not just uninstalling the main theme, we want to make sure to remove all of its deep-rooted tentacles. Services, drivers, auto installers are removed or disabled following these steps. Number 1. Disable Armoury Crate in the auto download in BIOS. Before you even remove the software from Windows, take away its ability to reinstall itself. Restart your PC and enter the BIOS UEFI setup, usually by hitting delete or F2 into BIOS. Navigate to the Tools tab, and there you'll see an option that says ASUS Armoury Crate. Set download and install Armoury Crate to disabled. By default, this is enabled on many boards, so that first prompt we discussed appears, but you want to save and exit the BIOS. This step is crucial. It keeps the motherboard from nagging Windows to reinstall Armoury Crate again later. Here's a tip. Anytime you update the BIOS in the future, double-click the setting. BIOS update can sometimes revert settings by default, as it will re-enable Armoury Crate downloads, so just remember to verify that this is off after any type of BIOS flash. So number 2, use the unofficial uninstall tool. Ironically, ASUS provides a dedicated Armoury Crate uninstall tool, but it takes a little bit of work to find, which I will show you how to find it. Since the program doesn't clearly remove itself via normal means, the uninstaller utility is here, the safest way to wipe out Armoury Crate and its components, and here's how to run it. We have to go to the ASUS Armoury resource site here. As I am located in the US region, I will be accessing Armoury Crate through here. So now I just have to simply scroll, and we get these very amazing animations that we just honestly want to go ahead and just rid of the software. So right here, you're gonna see this download tool, just hit the download, and automatically you either get light package and full installation package. So where's the uninstaller? You have to it's a bit tricky to get to. What I would suggest to do is go to products, select the correct motherboard. It will certainly help, as I have currently the ROG Crosshair X870 Hero. We will enter that, and we will go into support. Once you go to support, hit drivers and tools, and select the OS. Once you select the OS, you're just going to go down to the utility side. And right here, you're gonna see installer, right? But you're gonna see all downloads. So click see all downloads, and there it is. That's the exact tool we need, the Armoury Crate uninstall tool. Didn't think that they would have this in here, did you? And it's up to date. This has actually just recently gave an update, just a recent update, which is good. So you're just gonna download that tool. Once it does, make sure to extract the zip file. You're gonna open up the folder, right click it. We're gonna extract all, and it's just gonna go practically in the same folder. Open it up, and here is the uninstall tool. Remember, when you do open this up, right click it, go run as administrator, click the uninstall tool. But if you want to be safe, make sure to boot up into Windows Safe mode. And once you do, since this is already downloaded, make sure you head to the same downloads folder, and then it will safely remove any of the activities from ASUS Armoury Crates. Continue to follow the prompts of the Armoury Crate uninstall tool. It will detect all the Armoury Crate components, including Oracle Creator if you had that. Confirm if you want to remove everything. The tool will then process to uninstall Armoury Crate and its related services and apps. This will only take a few minutes. It's ripping out a lot of modules. Remember, there's 13 services. After it's fully removed, then reboot your PC, instruct it to restart. After reboot, Armoury Crate should be completely gone from your system after that heavy lifting is done. Note, if the uninstaller tool hits an error or crashes, don't panic. The ASUS FAQ suggests to simply restart and run the uninstall tool again. The second attempt should succeed. In very rare cases, you might have to boot it to safe mode, which I suggested to you guys in the beginning, so that way you don't have to do it. The key is to keep it until the tool reports that Armoury Crate is removed. Once it's done, do not reinstall it. Despite what ASUS might prompt, we're on a one-way trip here. Uninstaller tool does a pretty good job, but to be thorough, we want to check for any leftovers. This is for perfectionists who especially wants any trace gone. When you open up File Explorer, you're going to go under the C drive. To get there, you're just going to go under to the C drive right down here on the quick task over here on the left. And then you're going to go to program files, x86, ASUS. You're going to see something like this. Right click it and you're going to hit delete, and that will delete the file. Make sure to double check program files. You see ASUS, right click it, hit delete. Now, if you have any issues and something like this comes up, all you have to do is make sure to boot up into safe mode to remove these program files. And from there, you should have no issue. Now, the next step is you also want to check out your task scheduler. Go into the search bar, type task scheduler. This will pop up. You want to enter your task scheduler here. Let's make this a bit bigger so you guys can see here. You go into the task schedule library. And then from here, you're going to look for ASUS. Now, if you see anything from ASUS here, then you will want to remove it, such as this. So you right click it and you're going to delete the folder. If you're unable to delete, you can always disable the task. You can go here onto the right pane, hit delete folder, or disable the task. Next, another thing you can do is go back to Windows Explorer, go to your C drive, go to the Windows side, go to System 32, and then you're going to go to drivers. From here, you're going to look for files such as ASL03, which is this one here, that can be removed. You can also look for IOMAP64, which is this one here. And you can also look for MSIO64. Bit tricky this part, but again, this is all optional if you want to remove it to make sure that you don't want any traces in your system. Right here, right click and delete. For the next optional step is the registry. If you want to enter the registry, hit Windows R. You'll get a window such as this. Type REGEDIT for reg edit, registry edit, click yes. If you see all these numbers, don't worry about it, just close it up. This is obviously from my previous work, but let's hurry up and close this up. It should look more like this. It's not gonna look as hectic as mine's did. You're gonna go over to HK local machine software, and you're going to see ASUS. You can remove this. You should be pretty much good on the registry side. That's simple. You just go under HK local machine, go under ASUS, and you can remove all this stuff that you really don't need. All these services. Now take a deep breath. Armoury Crate is now gone. Double check that it's no longer in your start menus. None of its services are running on startup. Your system is feeling lighter already. Many people report immediate improvements, smoother game performance, faster boot times, and lower idle CPU usage once Armoury Crate is banished. In one incident, a user even saw 3D Mark score go up slightly even after removing Armoury Crate, which is wild for software that wasn't even actively running. You might ask, what uses of software can you use afterwards? You might be wondering, now that Armoury Crate is gone, how do I control the stuff I was managing? Don't worry, because you won't lose any functionality. In fact, you can do things more efficiently and with other tools. Let's go through the replacement for Armoury Crate's main features that savvy users prefer. You might be asking, what can you use after you have Armoury Crate completely gone out your system? One big reason people kept Armoury Crate was for the fan expert or the fan profile controls, especially on ASUS laptops or motherboards with fan headers. Without it, you do have some great options. Did you know that the BIOS also has fan control? The simplest method for desktops is using your BIOS built-in Q fan or the fan tuning utility. Reboot into your BIOS and set up fan curves for your CPU and case fans. This is the stored firmware and works independently of any software. It's reliable, doesn't hog any Windows resources for many, and set it and forget fan curves are in the BIOS. And it's more ideal because you don't even have to check it. Or you can use something like Fan Control by Remo. It's a more advanced or on-the-fly control in Windows. The community favorite is a source called Fan Control. It's a lightweight tool that allows you to create custom fan curves, combine sensor units, and even adjust fans in real time. It supports most motherboards, including ASUS, via standard sensors. Fan Control gives you much more flexibility. There are alternative laptop tools if you are doing it on a laptop. If you had the ROG laptop, such as the Zephyrus or a tough laptop, and you relied on Armoury Crate for fan modes and power profiles, check out G Helper. G-Helper is a fantastic, lightweight utility created by an indie developer as a replacement for Armoury Crate on ASUS laptops and the ROG Ally. It lets you adjust performance modes such as silent, performance, and turbo, fan speeds, CPU, TDP limits, and even keyboard RGBs on supported models without all the overhead. Laptop users report G-Helper giving them the same level of control with zero background bloat, and it makes their laptop seem significantly quicker. It runs the system tray and uses minimal resources. This is a must try if you're on a gaming laptop. No more signing in or waiting 30 seconds for Armoury Crate to launch just to change a fan profile. Now, when it comes to RGBs and lighting, Armoury Crate is also used for that, obviously because of lower sync. I do recommend using something as OpenRGB. This is a popular open source RGB control program, which I do have linked on the card right above, or you can check down in the description box down below where I have it, as you can have complete control over your ASUS motherboard and not only just ASUS, but your other peripherals, even if you have a mix and match just like me with G-Skill or with Gigabyte GPU, or you have MSI SSD, or MSI RGBs, you get the idea. Same with SignalRGB. If you're more interested in SignalRGB, make sure you check that video out as well. So manufacturers have specific options. If you only care about syncing RGBs, your Corsair RAM or Razer peripherals with your ASUS board, you might use Corsair's iCUE or Razer Synapse. Newer ASUS boards have plugins for iCUE, where they can integrate with iCUE, which we all know doesn't work the greatest. Preferably, I prefer either using SignalRGB or OpenRGB when it comes down to it. Now, when it comes to drivers and BIOS and updates, it's actually really simple. Just go onto ASUS's website. It's all listed there. You just look up your board just as we did earlier on how to get rid of ASUS Armoury Crate. Now you just are going to look up your manufacturer's board, such as I have the X870E Hero, driver and tools, and select your OS, and all your drivers are right here and they will install flawlessly. BIOS and firmware, your newest BIOS is up to date and it is also right here. In summary, everything Armoury Crate did can be handled through alternative methods such as either software or manual methods, and it's usually honestly more efficient and less bothersome. You won't get those annoying pop-ups and it feels so much more lightweight. It means if one thing crashes, it doesn't take everything out and leaves you with no control until a reboot. Even ASUS experts on forums often recommend ditching Armoury Crate and using these alternatives. As one person put it, uninstall it, block it in the BIOS, use OpenRGB instead. You'll likely find your PC experience much more stable and hassle-free after switching to these solutions. Now you know the alternative methods, you want to prevent reinstallation or relaunch, and you want to keep Armoury Crate gone. Now that you cleansed your system's soul, let's ensure that Armoury Crate stays gone for good. And here's a few tips from it coming back. Again, let me refer back to keeping your BIOS settings disabled. That is the key point. Go to your BIOS, make sure it's completely disabled. Don't let the BIOS auto install them. Anytime you update your BIOS, make sure that it is completely out. Also, remember to say no. Any new ASUS accessory, a ROG mouse, keyboard, or headset, Windows might give you a notification asking if you want to install Armoury Crate, which is pretty automatic. Just click no and don't ever ask me again because it is banished from my system. It will usually work as a normal keyboard and mouse. You can control it once again through OpenRGB or alternative RGB software. So you want to scrutinize ASUS drivers packages, sometimes even downloading a new driver. They might secretly bundle some Armoury Crate goodness with it, which you might want to avoid. If you see that checked out on any of your setups, make sure you uncheck Armoury Crate and it should be good to go. Of course, you could go through the optional disable removals of leftover ASUS services. If you didn't see that portion of the video, it is timestamped down below if you want to make sure. And always do regular maintenance. Check around your settings, check around your registry settings, make sure you check your profile settings, and make sure that ASUS is cleansed, truly cleansed from your system. What do? ASUS Armoury Crate is gone? You game in peace. That's what you do. You just game, and you game, especially with the Steam summer sale going on. And let me tell you guys, I just bought too much, man. I bought too much stuff. Look at this insane list of what I bought during the Steam sale. I bought a bunch of games that I know I'm probably more than likely not going to play for a long while here. Going forward, you finally have full control of your system's lighting, fans, and updates on your terms. No more fighting the software and wondering if it's causing any issues. You've got a streamlined solution in place. As a bonus, you've learned a lot about your own system and tweaking these alternatives, which is always empowering for a PC enthusiast, especially if you're new. You've learned a lot as it is already. I know this is a lot to take in, but you are doing great. I promise. We've all been in the same shoes that you were once before. Thank you for joining this deep dive removal guide. If you found this helpful, please share this video with your fellow ASUS Armoury friends. And also, please drop the like or comment down below and make sure to let everybody know about your clean experience. Remember, your PC works for you. You don't have to tolerate any extra software that doesn't play nice. Happy gaming, happy tinkering now that Armoury Crate is firmly in the rearview mirror.